octopuses are assholes to fish for no reason but they can?
But do they know
Yes.
what they're doing?
What? They will punch fish for no other reason.
They don't pee.
They'll punch fish for no other reason.
That's evolution we're talking about. There's a distinction between us and the brainless as squid. Oh, octopus.
Octopi.
Octopi.
Because pies,
Octopus.
you can't have cake. Yeah, so octopi will just punch fish.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like an evolutionary thing, like freaking a snake biting something. It's not evil to them. It's just like an evolutionary thing, mechanism to protect themselves.
And it led to 2 kids fighting at Sweetwater.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same reason I let kids fight here. I don't break it up. It's for my own entertainment. And as soon as people come around, oh yeah, break it up.
I was gonna say, you remind me of the battery.
So we're going to go and then Bethany, but just real quick. So you do say something that might be important. Choice. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I was gonna go along with him. Like it's not really. It wasn't just because of our morals. Like how we think of stuff.
So why do we
put certain rules on ourselves? Probably to an animal. Like they need more of a free life. Because like now that let's say one of our marks like no stealing, an animal doesn't even care about that. So if we can have morals, we can just go on, kill one of your erasers and just leave. There's no morals, but it's not really evil.
So you draw a distinction between things being immoral and things being evil.
Yeah.
So how do we know what's evil?
Like it's of the construction. Like let's say
Experience.
let's say this, like a bear. Bears, you know bears are cannibals, right?
No, I didn't.
Especially that yogi one,
Yeah, no, bears eat cubs and everything. Like all that, but to them that's not evil. Like but to us, it is evil.
Okay.
So wouldn't be more of a perspective side of evil?
So what's an example of something that would be evil?
Killing someone.
Killing what?
Killing someone.
Killing someone.
Raping?
I thought you said Kim Jong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So killing. So what's wrong with killing?
Communism?
Communism? Communism?
Yeah.
All right, we're done. Questions, comments, concerns. Well, always goes back to communism. For Solzhenitsyn, it does, by the way, but we'll get there. No, I'm trying to figure out. So what is it that would be evil then? Like, what would be an example? So killing someone, maybe.
My cat peeing on my bed.
What's that?
My cat peeing on my bed.
Cat peeing on your bed, but that's just a choice, though. The cat chooses to pee on your bed, but I'm wondering why you're so mean to your kitty that they...
Dude, because I don't let him go outside.
Why not?
Because he gets fleas.
He just wants to go play.
Nah, he don't play.
Yes, he does.
He plays with raccoons. I caught him.
Aww, he plays with raccoons? My kitty plays with raccoons. The raccoons come to my door in a little field, they touch nose with the raccoons. It's so cute.
And you open the
I'm glad your cat pees on this guy. You're mean to your kid. You don't want me to go play with raccoons.
They give him choice. If the house burns down, they have to do the picture of them instead of the kids.
What did I miss?
You know, like the Korean dude?
Who?
Kim Jong-un?
Kim Jong-un, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, like, you know, if one of their houses burns down and the kids inside, they have to like save the picture instead of the kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta see the picture of dear leader. Yeah.
They have to fake crime.
If you don't, you're gonna get arrested.
Or killed.
I feel like if I was the kid, I would grab the picture of Kim Jong-un and I'd hold it. Because that way I know if they're coming back for the picture, they gotta come back for me too. Yeah. Bethany, you're gonna say.
Yeah, so since like you're comparing animals and humans, why don't you just like compare to humans to someone who makes choices knowing, like full conscious, compared to a toddler that doesn't really know if it's good, if it's bad.
How do you mean?
It's like a pregnant woman. So like let's say someone who is older, more developed in their mindset, a teenager and adults, they would like choose a fight with anyone for probably whatever reason. And well, the kid, he isn't like fully taught that it's wrong until someone goes and tells him. But before that, it's it's more innocent, so it can't be like on a specific level in their heart of it being evil.
So the law is not yet written on their hearts. So what would be, there's a word for that. What's the word for that?
Conscience.
Choice.
Conscience, very good. And the word gon means what? With. Very good. So with. And the word science means knowledge. So if you're doing something with regards to your conscience, you're doing something with knowledge. There seems to be something there when we talk about having that conscience, that maybe a 2-year-old doesn't have the conscience. The teenager might have the conscience. By the way, the 2-year-old knows not to do things, maybe in the same way that your cat knows not to pee on the bed. Not because it's a moral choice for them, not because it's a moral decision for them, but because of the fear of a consequence for it. I'm going to do this only because I know it's going to make you angry. Not because they're thinking in terms of good or evil. Maybe they're not thinking in terms of choice. They're making a choice not to do good or evil. They're making a choice just to piss you off. Versus, someone who has a developed conscience maybe is now doing things with knowledge. And maybe in order for there to be true choice, perhaps you have to have knowledge. And then once you have knowledge, you can make a choice between good and evil. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's not that bad to have some evil.
Why not?
I mean,
Just a little bit.
If
Nothing wrong with just a little bit of evil, right?
Yeah, if someone's about to beat you up, are you going to just stand there and get beat up, or are you
That's
going
not
to?
evil.
That is being a little bit evil to fight back,
No.
to unleash the beast on that person.
Unleash
I like that. Someone's picking on you, just time to unleash the beast. Wait, what? Here comes the beast.
Miss Morris.
So now I'm going to go back to what you said about there maybe being a distinction between killing and murdering. Is there a difference between killing and murdering?
Yeah, but it involves torture.
What the hell?
That's like murdering.
I want to hear about this. Go ahead.
I think murdering is a torture. Killing is like if you just like kill them, yeah, quick and like that.
So, torture.
But it's like murdering is like you hold them hostage and everything.
Not me, you. Okay. I bet you're able to get those screams to echo off the walls of the remote tool shed for years, huh? Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, the difference is choice. Because, you ever see that one guy that acted on Sweet Life on Cody River, that show? And, an actor from there, he was driving, he just killed, these people. But that was, he didn't mean to kill them, but murder, he mean to kill someone.
Intent.
What's that? Intent. There's probably even more than just that, yeah.
It's like what he said, it's between killing someone, I saw on the, I don't remember where, but some guy was driving in a parade in a modded car and his brakes, broke, and he ended up killing 2 people. That would be killing. That maybe illegally it'd still be defined as murdering, but it wouldn't be murder because he didn't intend to kill them.
Manslaughter. Yeah. Man's laughter.
Man's laughter?
Manslaughter.
Oh.
If you just emphasize different syllables, it's man's laughter rather than manslaughter. Alright, so I guess maybe think of it this way. You're at home, it's nighttime, so it's kind of chilly outside. But if you guys like to get under the covers when it's chilly, but you don't close the window, like that kind of contrast between, okay, so you do that. And then because you do that, someone walks past your house, they see your window open, they look in, they're like, oh my goodness, so cute, sleeping. So you move the screen, climb in, and then they put the shotgun to your head and boom, pull the trigger and splatter your brains all over the place while you're asleep. Murder? Yeah, not man's laughter, but murder. Okay. Now, same exact scenario, you leave your window open, they unread the screen, they put the shotgun to your head and you wake up, because my kitty wakes me up just in time, because he's a sweet boy. Your kitty pees in the bed instead, runs away. And so you grab the shotgun, fight ensues, and in the struggle, the shotgun goes off and you kill that person.
I thought you said kill the cat.
No, he's a sweet boy.
Don't kill the cat, you monster.
Maybe we we could wean your cat, just to teach him a lesson. Second case scenario, murder or killing?
That's killing.
That's killing, self-defense. So there is a distinction then. And then there's even a third case, which is what you're talking about. It's just a complete accident. Brakes go out, nothing you can do about it. So we do have these varying levels then. So in the first case, it's that there was a choice that was being made to do something that many of us would consider to be evil. Now, does that person who's coming in through your window with the shotgun, do they know that it's evil? Thinking generally. Probably. So that means that there's a choice that's being made for there to be evil. Could they have chosen to do something different?
Yes.
Yeah, so could have been a choice to do good. That's what I'm wondering, if there's going to be, if choice is a component of it, and if conscience, if knowing, if having knowledge about the distinction just between good and evil matters a lot. No, you had your hand up again.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't raise
Call me a liar? All right. So there's definitely something, a component there of choice between the two. And that's why I wonder if animals have that kind of a choice. Because animals, in order for us to choose between good and evil, we have to have an awareness of good and evil. And that requires an awareness of self, by the way. Self-consciousness. When I describe a person as being self-conscious, for example, if I say to you, oh, I'm feeling kind of self-conscious right now, what does that suggest?
Feel bad for yourself?
Yeah, exactly. There's something we usually think of it as a negative feeling. It's weird. Whenever we talk about being aware of self, like self-aware, we usually think of it in a negative context. So we kind of understand that being self-aware has something negative attached to it. Not necessarily, but we think of it that way. And the thing that we probably attach to our awareness of self is an awareness of mortality. But another thing that we attach to awareness of self is an awareness of consequences of our actions. Especially those of you guys who have pets. Do your pets consider the consequences of their actions?
No.
You know, you can get your cat to go chasing stuff like into a wall if you wanted to. If you put the little red dot and you run it into a wall, you could probably get your cat to run into a wall, your dog to run into a wall. That's your homework. Give your dog or cat a concussion tonight. Laser pointer.
Can I eat my neighbor's dog?
Sure, absolutely. Feed him peanuts and chocolate first. No, yes.
What if, well, this happened like a couple of times when I first got my cat. I would like walk by him and he'd get jumped or spooked and he like jumped straight into the wall by accident and like run away.
Poor kitty.
He doesn't do that now.
Oh, thank goodness.
He bites me now.
Good. You deserve it for scaring him in the first few months of his
I
life.
want to give him scratches. I want to give him scratches in behind the ear.
Want to give him lovies?
Text my arm.
Yeah.
When it says the rest of us, does it mean like people that do good, or does it mean like people that, because insidiously, like doesn't that mean like sneaky?
Yeah, evilly, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does that mean people that do it like openly?
On the slide too. So if only there were evil people somewhere who were like just like being on the down low, but still really evil. If they were committing evil deeds, if that was the case, how easy would it be for us to get rid of evil?
Very easy.
Pretty easy. We know where they are. They're making it pretty clear. So in other words, if the world's divided into just good people and evil people, and by the way, notice he's saying that they were committing evil deeds. So now, of course, that's going to beg the question about whether evil is something that we are, or if it's something that we do. In other words, is it just the fact that you can have evil in your heart, well, that says you always choose instead to do good? Are you still evil? Because as I'm going to maybe get to, hopefully, is the idea that you have to have some of this in your heart in order to be this. Because if you only have good in your heart, there is no choice. You have to have the choice to do evil in order to be good. If all you have is good in your heart, then you therefore always choose to do good if you have no awareness of evil, but you can't be good. You have to have an awareness of evil. There has to be some of this in your heart to overcome in order to act out in a positive way, a good way. And so he's saying that if only there were evil people committing evil deeds, then of course he's connecting it there to action. And Solzhenitsyn had a lot of experience with people committing evil deeds. Bethany and then Mom.
So then why do so many people want to get rid of evil? If, like, it would get rid of evil, it would get rid of so many not that it's like fun to have it,
but isn't it? Isn't
but it
evil
would make things
a little bit of
so
fun?
much more boring, like for the instance of killing or robbing or any of those things, if all of those evil things were eliminated and like
The
no
fights
kid
at
would go
lunch.
and play police.
Yeah. Yeah, what would the world be like if we had no evil in it?
Boring.
It'd be crazy.
We
Cause
wouldn't have the technology we have today.
explain what you mean by that.
Well, from what I've heard, or like, yeah, I heard a bunch of like technology advanced, I guess, during a bunch of world wars. That's why.
Like,
I don't know. I don't remember. I only remember hearing.
there's one big one.
The atomic.
The atomic bomb, yeah. Yeah, without the Japanese to drop it on, and without a need to develop it, we had the theory behind it for a while, but I mean I don't know, man. There's something about scientists where scientists, sorry, oftentimes try to elevate themselves as though we are scientists and we are wise. Think about it. Every weapon that's ever been made was made by a scientist. So before we get too caught up on assuming that just because someone has education, that therefore that means that they're moral or good in some way, most of the immoral and bad stuff and most of the weapons, it's all been done by highly educated people. The atomic bomb is great because they developed this thing, and then after they test it, remember, everybody know Oppenheimer's comment?
It's he said in the newscast, he's like, I am death, destroyer. I become death, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah, he's quoting from the Upanishads, I become death, the destroyer of worlds. And he's saying this really like, I can't believe the incredible killing power we've unleashed. Stupid. What do you think you were working on? You knew exactly what you were working on. But afterwards you can develop and go, I can't believe they used it for that. Because you're so damn moral. No, it's because you knew exactly what you were building. But you like to be able to step back afterwards and say, oh, I didn't know they were using it for that. It's like, anybody heard you've heard the Nobel Peace Prize before? It's great. Anybody know where that comes from?
The guy who created dynamite.
Yeah, the guy who created dynamite, Alfred Nobel. He invented dynamite to help miners mine. Because so many you have to crawl into the mines and then, mines were collapsing on people, people were being killed. So he thought, oh, it'd be better if we could, throw some dynamite in there, blow stuff up, and then pick it up off the ground. That'd be much safer. So it didn't take long for someone to go, hear me out. You know what else we could do with this? We could blow up people. Like, yeah, let's throw it at people. And we started throwing it at people. Something like that, it doesn't take much to figure out that your invention is going to be used for evil. Yeah.
I mean, Einstein was also guilty. He was like, I'm a pacifist, all that. And he
Einstein was a bitch, dude. Go ahead.
And then he writes a letter to the freaking U.S. government, or to the president, saying you should build a bomb.
Yeah, he didn't. To be precise, his defense was, I didn't write the letter. I just signed it. Oppenheimer wrote it and said, we should develop this bomb and we should use it against Germany. And Einstein's like, hells to the yeah. And he signs it. But his whole life he was a committed pacifist. He was saying, war is never the answer. And then as soon as he finds out about what's going on with the Holocaust, he's like, oh yeah, let's build it and drop it on those Nazi bastards. And then after we use it, but we use it against the Japanese, he was like, I can't believe that we used that. This is why war is never the answer. Everyone's a pacifist until it comes time to do pacifist shit. Einstein was a pacifist, but you notice he was saying it from America. Why? Because he escaped Germany, because he saw what was happening, and he got the hell out of there. And he came to the United States where it was safe to be a pacifist. The reason that Martin Luther King Jr. works out is because right behind him, you got Malcolm X holding a gun, waiting. And so you have a choice at that point. Do we go with the pacifist, Martin Luther King Jr., or do we face down the barrel of Malcolm X's rifle? We're going to choose Martin Luther King Jr. every time. But that only works if you got someone behind him with a rifle. Now you're going to say?
Another thing is...
Well, now you're going to say something.
Another thing is, if there's evil people, purely evil people, and there's purely good people, and the act of getting rid of the evil people, isn't that evil too?
I don't know.
To annihilate them and to get rid of them, to eradicate them, that's basically evil. If it means to kill them.
Is it evil to get rid of evil?
Yes.
Yes?
They're still humans.
Why? And it depends on what? Depends on what?
I don't know, they're still breathing. Yeah.
From the what? I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Good answer. I don't know. It's a fine answer. If we don't know, it's better than making stuff up. Yeah.
I think it depends on the kind of evil. If you think about it, like, take a zombie apocalypse for a sec. If you murder them, that's good. They're not even human anymore. But if you murder a bunch of assholes, isn't that's what brings into question, because you still have a human, they still have a mind, like a working mind. It's when they lose a sense of mind that I think it becomes purely correct to murder them.
How did Hitler die?
That becomes interesting.
So.
Yeah, Hitler killed himself. So that's the thing. Say what you want about Hitler being evil, but Hitler did kill Hitler, right? Yeah. So I mean, there's always that. And I don't mean to sound like Kanye here, but I don't think I'm gonna do that, because I'm not gonna get demonetized here.
I like Kanye.
There's a lot going on here, and the truth is I don't even know where to start with all of it. I think that what you guys are saying is all very good, spot on, and good questions. I don't want to taint it with too much. Yeah, so I think that going back to what you said, just to comment real quick about whether or not, the statement about there being pure good and pure evil. That's part of what he's getting at here, is that there isn't anybody who's just pure evil. And again, not to sound like Kanye, because that's the point he was trying to make, that there's no such thing as a person who's purely evil. Like, think about someone who's purely evil. And who always comes to our mind when we say that? Hitler. Hitler was a vegetarian because he didn't like the treatment of animals, and he loved his dogs. And apparently was a very doting figure to a lot of children. Now, that might only be 1% of his population, of his personality, but that still means that 99% still might be evil, but that 1%, we can now no longer say he was pure evil. Now the problem is that we'll see something like that, and then we'll say, but now I can't say he was evil. Yeah, you can. You still can. But he had some good in him. You can't say he was pure evil, but you can definitely say that he was evil. And a lot of times we have problems that stem from our inability to call people evil. We're afraid of making those kinds of judgments. I saw a documentary, I guess it was, years ago on invasion of Normandy, and there was a woman there. She was in Germany, which is not at Normandy, but it was in Berlin, and she was talking about like Hitler and all that. And the interviewer asked her if the Nazis were evil, and she said, "I don't think in terms of good and evil." And he was just like, "Oh yeah, but if you did, that would be a pretty good candidate for being evil, right?" And she was just like very uncomfortable. She said, "I don't like to use those words like evil and good." I was like, you can't call them evil and good. I mean, where can you draw that line? Any line from there seemed to be arbitrary. But it's an interesting thing. I was talking about other periods. We think of Hitler and the Nazis as being like this extreme, like this caricature of evil. If you were in school and you went to your professor's office and he had a swastika up on the wall, and you were to ask him, well, what's with the swastika? And he said, well, I'm not a big fan of the Nazis necessarily, but National Socialism is a good idea. It just hasn't been done right yet. Yeah. What's that?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I didn't know there.
Many of us would look at that and just be like, what the hell is wrong with this person? How many people have died in a concentration camp before you would finally condemn National Socialism and say it was a bad idea and evil? And you say, well, but they had some good points if you really... When I was in college, I did go into a professor's office, and he had the hammer and sickle from the Soviet Union up on his wall. And I asked about that. Now, if you're looking for a scorecard, the Nazis killed about 11 million people in concentration camps. Stalin was like, wow, that's a lot of people. Hold my vodka. And he killed between 30 and 50 million, depending on the number. Solzhenitsyn puts the number closer to 50 million. Solzhenitsyn was a commander in the Russian army, and he wrote a letter home during World War II explaining that he didn't think that the war was being executed very well. Someone read the letter, opened up his mail, read it, and then said, "Ooh, he's criticizing Stalin." And so he was criticizing the state. So he was sent to a gulag, which is essentially a work camp, concentration camp. And while he was there, he spent years there. And while he was there, he wrote a book called The Gulag Archipelago. It's a big, like 1,100-page tome. It's a huge book. He wrote most of the book in his head while he was in the prison camp. And then, just every day to keep his mind alert, so he memorized this whole book. And then he gets out, and he writes the whole thing down pretty quickly, in the course of just a couple of weeks. And in it, he talked about the horrors of what it was like to be in there. And he gets out, and again, he publishes this book. And he's publishing this book at a time when a lot of people in the West are admiring Stalin and what he's doing with industrialization. And all the atrocities, the tens of millions of people dying over there, no one in the West is really talking about. And so Solzhenitsyn comes out, he publishes this book, and it forces the world to talk about it. I believe he wins a Nobel Prize, if I'm not mistaken, for the book. He talks about the horrors of what's happening in Ukraine. He talks about what's happening in these camps all over the place. And something that before that was pretty well, I don't want to say hidden from the Western consciousness, because it wasn't so much that it was hidden, so much as we didn't want to know about it. Because they wanted to praise what he was doing in terms of his industrialization, his modernization of the country. And so Solzhenitsyn essentially commits his whole life to exposing this. That's why when I began, as I looked at his face, this is the closest picture I have to him smiling. He has seen some shit, man. And when you've seen what he has seen, it's difficult to crack more of a smile than what you see here, which is, of course, nothing at all. He points out, though, he doesn't specifically just condemn the state at the time. He's not just saying that Stalin and so forth, they're just like particularly evil. That's exactly part of his point. He's saying that this line of good and evil just cuts through the heart of every single person, that all of us are there. In the first week of school, if anybody can remember that far back, I asked you guys, could you imagine yourself living in Germany in the 1930s? And if so, could you imagine yourself being a concentration camp guard? Like if you were drafted in and put in that position, I wonder how many of you realize what kind of a guard you would have been. In other words, I wonder how many of you would sit there and go, "Oh, dude, I would never have been a guard in a place like that. No way." If that's your immediate reaction, I would suggest to you that you don't know yourself very well. Because very, very few people did that. Most people just kind of followed orders, did what they were told. That's what was expected, so that's what you did. And is it that those people were particularly evil, that you had to be particularly evil? No. You just had to be a person who was put in a very specific context. Here, I wonder if this context would change you at all. Go be a concentration camp guard. No. Okay, then if you don't do it, we're going to put you and your family in that camp. Well, I mean, no, not without the proper equipment. I need some rifles and some torture devices, then I'll go do it. In other words, if you could be properly motivated, social coercion, if you're physically forced to do it, I would imagine that most of us actually would be. And again, not every single person who was tasked with that did it. Maybe you would have been that one person who would have stood up against it. I don't know. But that's the point, neither do you, until you're in a situation like that. Because this line of good and evil cuts through everybody. Now, that's what makes it good and evil, though, is that you have a choice to do it or a choice not to do it. You can do good or you can do evil, but you have to be aware of what good and evil are. We wouldn't normally look at like a 2-year-old and say that they're evil, like in a real sense. We'd say, oh, they're an evil little kid, but we don't mean it like literally evil, because maybe they don't have that knowledge yet. But they do have an awareness that they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. Your cat does seem to have an awareness that he shouldn't be peeing in your bed, because he does it and then runs away. So even animals at some rudimentary level maybe have some kind of an understanding that they should or shouldn't be doing things. And we may not even understand why we should or shouldn't be doing things. Yeah.
So for the kid that has no knowledge that it's evil, does that mean he doesn't know it's good either?
Yes. Because in order to be able to choose good, you have to know what evil is. That's the story that goes back to one of the oldest stories ever told. It goes back to the Garden of Eden. In order to do good, you have to know what evil is. In order to know what evil is, you have to know what good is. You have to know the distinction between these two things. Because only in an awareness of each do you have the capacity to make a choice between the two. Now, I wonder how many of us would choose, if we're able to eliminate all evil from our life and only have the capacity for this. I don't know. A lot would work out in your life. It would go pretty well for you, of course. It'd be boring. Maybe. Maybe it'd be more exciting. We don't know, because we don't know what it's like to live without that choice. So, who is willing to destroy a piece of his own heart? Well, I'll leave that to you. I imagine many. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms?